steel, the backbone of our modern world. It builds our cities, bridges our rivers, and during the Cold War it meant power. For the Soviet Union, steel was both shield and sword. In secret factories deep within the empire, a revolution of metal was underway. This was not about politics, but survival. The USSR poured its best minds and resources into forging a war machine that could not be broken. Their steel absorbed tank shells. Their titanium resisted the crushing ocean depths. Two superpowers, USA and USSR, stood on the brink, every tank and submarine a symbol of strength. In secret cities like Chelyabinsk, engineers saw their work as a sacred duty, tools of national survival. The West saw only breadlines and shoddy goods, missing the hidden power growing behind the scenes. The true strength of the Soviet Union was not in its stores, but in the depths of the Atlantic and the furnaces of the Urals. The world would only begin to understand this secret strength when the Cold War ended. The Soviet military-industrial complex was a world apart, driven by necessity and fear. Every decision in the lab or factory could decide the fate of millions. The USSR's might was forged in fire and iron, a testament to its will to endure. The Cold War was a high-stakes game, and every piece mattered. Soviet steel and titanium were not for show. They were for survival. The hidden power of the Soviet Union was its greatest secret. Only when the Iron Curtain fell did the world see what had truly been forged. To outsiders, Soviet technology looked crude. Clunky cars, unreliable electronics, empty shelves. Western analysts assumed a nation that couldn't build a decent washing machine, couldn't build advanced weapons. But the USSR had two industrial worlds, a neglected civilian sector and a secretive, well-funded military complex. The best minds and resources went to military projects, not consumer goods. Advanced alloys and electronics were hidden in classified facilities, not on store shelves. The West underestimated Soviet military hardware for decades, lulled by poor civilian products. When new weapons appeared, they shocked the world. Jets, tanks and submarines that forced a technological reassessment. The shoddy television was camouflage, hiding a formidable arsenal. Soviet leaders sacrificed comfort for military dominance, and the deception worked. The real Soviet genius was forged in secrecy, not on display for the world to see. In the underwater Cold War, depth was everything. Submarines built from steel had limits, too deep, and the hull would collapse. Soviet engineers turned to titanium light, strong and corrosion-resistant, but incredibly hard to work with. Welding titanium required sealed chambers filled with argon gas to prevent brittleness. The USSR became the world's largest producer of titanium, dedicating it to secret submarine programs. Specialized alloys and new technologies pushed the boundaries of material science. While the West used titanium in aircraft, only the Soviets built entire submarine hulls from it. This was a generational leap, not a quick advantage. The result? Submarines that could dive deeper and move faster than anything NATO had. Soviet dedication to mastering titanium gave their fleet a unique edge. Beneath the waves, these silent hunters became NATO's worst nightmare. The pinnacle of Soviet titanium mastery was the Alpha-class submarine. With titanium hulls, Alphas could dive over 700 meters, far deeper than American subs. Their speed was unmatched, powered by innovative nuclear reactors. Alphas could outrun torpedoes and vanish into the abyss, confounding NATO planners. The program was costly and complex, but the strategic advantage was immense. The Mike-class Komsomolets pushed limits further, diving to a record 1,027 meters. It was a testbed for advanced technology, proving Soviet engineering prowess. Though Komsomolets was lost in a fire, its achievement stood as a testament to Soviet metallurgy. These submarines were hidden jewels, ultimate performance prioritized above all else. The West had never seen anything like them. Soviet innovation beneath the sea was bold, risky, and decades ahead. The legacy of these vessels endures as a symbol of Cold War ambition. On land, steel reigned supreme, especially in the iconic T-72 tank. The USSR, haunted by W2 invasions, obsessed over tank design and protection. Unlike Western tanks, the T-72 used highly sloped armor, increasing survivability and deflecting shells. Its turret was a solid, hemispherical casting, strong, with few flat surfaces to target. Western analysts underestimated its protection, focusing on thickness, not geometry or metallurgy. The T-72 was lighter than its Western rivals, allowing for better mobility and range. Every element, armor, profile, weight, worked together for survival. It was more than a box of steel, it was a mobile fortress. Soviet tank design was holistic, innovative, and deadly effective. The T-72 became a symbol of Soviet battlefield strength. As anti-tank weapons evolved, so did Soviet armor. Heat warheads threatened to burn through steel, so engineers pioneered composite armor, multi-layered with steel, ceramics, and secret materials. Each layer disrupted the incoming jet, dissipating its energy. This innovation changed armored warfare. Next came explosive reactive armor, ERA, explosive bricks that detonated outward, neutralizing heat jets before they reached the hull. The first ERA, Contact 1, appeared in the early 1980s, shocking Western observers. It was a simple, cheap way to upgrade thousands of tanks. Later, Contact 5 countered even kinetic energy penetrators. Soviet tanks became evolving shields, always adapting to new threats. The cycle of innovation, sloped steel, composite, active defense, kept Soviet armor a step ahead. The tank was never static. It was a living response to the battlefield. Soviet designers always thought one move ahead. Behind every sheet of steel and block of armor was a human story. In the military-industrial complex, engineers and workers felt a deep sense of purpose. Their work was a sacred trust. Lives depended on every weld and plate. The memory of W2 was raw, never again was a personal vow. Defense workers had special status, but their true motivation was patriotism and duty. They saw themselves as guardians, building the shield that protected their nation. The Cold War was a struggle for survival, and they carried that weight with pride. The collective will of millions shaped Soviet military technology. Every submarine, every tank was a product of skill, pride, and shared sacrifice. The human element was the secret behind Soviet strength. When the Soviet Union fell, the world finally saw behind the Iron Curtain. Western experts examined tanks and submarines up close and were stunned. The crude image of Soviet technology was shattered. In key areas, the Soviets were not just equals, but pioneers. Their armor, titanium production, and design philosophies were decades ahead. The T-72 and Alpha class were products of focused, secret R&D. This forced a major reassessment of Cold War technology. The lesson: never judge a nation by what it shows the world. Soviet military power was hidden behind a mask of civilian struggle. Today, the legacy endures. New generations build on these foundations. The quality of metal still decides life and death on land and sea. In the shadows, new strengths are always being forged.